Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. I'm Alexa Allen, and each week I talk about a new true crime, conspiracy, or mystery. Last week we talked about the bizarre death of Cindy James. If you haven't got a chance to watch that, as always, I'll link it right up here. So this week's case is one that I had never heard of until recently. I was really surprised it wasn't more famous, but then as I got further into the case, I realized why. So let's jump right in. Claudine Longet was born January 29th, 1942, making her an Aquarius. Claudine grew up in France, and as a teenager, she would move to Las Vegas. She'd become a dancer for the show Folies Bergère. Now, if you don't know what this is your quintessential Las Vegas showgirl show. So one day in 1960, Claudine's driving her car along the highway, everything's cool, and then her car breaks down. She's stranded on the side of the road, hoping someone will come rescue her because, no cell phones. And a man stops and asks her if she needs help. And that man is none other than singer-actor Andy Williams. At the time, she was 18 years old and he was 32, but they were really flirty and they hit it off right away. And they just had this whirlwind romance and fell in love, and they would go on to marry. The couple married shortly after in December 1961, and they went on to have 3 children, Noel, Christian, and Robert. They ended up separating in 1970 and were officially divorced in 1975, but they remained friends. They really got along well. Andy had a variety show, and Claudine would often appear on the show to sing and dance and do what Claudine did. She would also go on to have small acting roles on popular shows at the time, like Hogan's Heroes and Rat Patrol. But her big break was in 1966 when she performed the final song on the season finale of Run for Your Life. A record label saw her performance and offered her a deal. She'd go on to produce 5 albums between 1966 and 1970. In 1968, she co-starred in the movie The Party, which was a huge hit at the time. So in 1972, Claudine attends this ski event in Bear Valley, California. It was a celebrity ski race, and there she met the Olympian skier, Spyder Savage. At the time, Spyder was super popular. He was like that guy. He was kind of a celebrity Olympian. We know them. We love them. And Spyder was known not only for his talent, but for his good looks. He was blonde hair, blue-eyed, and said to be very charming with the ladies. The two immediately became an item. At the time, she was 34 and he was 31. They became the celebrity it couple, and Spyder invited Claudine and her 3 children to move in to his home in Aspen. Now, up until then, Spyder was kind of living this crazy bachelor lifestyle, so it was said that there were kind of some growing pains when Claudine moved in and making that adjustment to the kind of married lifestyle. The two were said to argue a lot. It was even reported that one night at a nightclub, Claudine threw her glass of wine at Spyder because he wasn't paying enough attention to her. And after about 3 years of living together, Spyder, he wanted to call it quits. He was done with all the drama. And in March of 1976, he asked that Claudine be out of the house with her children by April 1st. So this brings us to one Sunday afternoon on March 21st, 1976. The two had spent that Sunday afternoon apart. Spyder had spent the day up on the slopes training. So Spyder gets home, he goes to take a shower, he strips all of his gear off, and he's down to just his thermal underwear. And while preparing to get in the shower, he is shot in the abdomen by Claudine. And according to Claudine, the gun accidentally went off when he was trying to show her how to use it. Unfortunately, Spyder lost a lot of blood and he was dead before his arrival to the hospital. Claudine is arrested and charged with the shooting of Spyder Savage. The police took a blood sample from Claudine, which showed the presence of cocaine. They also confiscated her diary, which she had written about her and Spyder's kind of ups and downs in their fights and how their relationship was just basically ending. This went against what Claudine was telling the police at the time. She insisted that their relationship was great and everything was fine. So during the investigation, the police discover that Spyder was at least 6 feet away from Claudine when he was shot, and his back was turned towards her, so he wasn't facing her. This is kind of an odd position to be in if you're trying to teach someone how to use a gun. Also, Spyder's friends and family insisted there's no way he would have been teaching Claudine how to use a gun in this setting. Okay, he was very familiar with guns and how they worked and familiar with gun safety. So you don't show someone who's unexperienced with guns how to use a gun in the shower, just like while the gun's fully loaded. So this trial was front page news everywhere, and Andy Williams, Claudine's ex-husband, completely had her back, and he hired the best of the best lawyers for her. Andy stood by her throughout the whole trial. He walked her to and from court, and he would even testify as a character witness for Claudine. And throughout this whole thing, Claudine completely stuck by her story that this was an accident. Claudine's lawyer was able to throw out the evidence of the diary because even though the police had her diary on their search warrant, she claimed there's no way they would have known of its existence if they hadn't already gone through her stuff, because she kept her diary in her dresser drawer. The lawyer also got rid of the blood test evidence. They couldn't use that in court because they didn't have a warrant to do that as well. So basically all they had to use in court was the forensics that he was facing away from her and that he was shot while bent over. The jury came back after only 4 hours, and they acquitted her of her charge of felony manslaughter, but she was convicted of criminally negligent homicide. She was given a $250 fine and sentenced to serve 30 days in jail at her choosing. So Claudine chooses to, serve her time on the weekends here and there over the course of a couple years. The public was outraged, of course, and especially when Claudine went on a little vacation with her defense lawyer, who was still married at the time. Her and her defense lawyer would later go on to marry, and they're still married to this day. After the trial was over, Spyder's family filed a civil lawsuit against Claudine. They settled out of court under the condition that Claudine never writes or tells about her story. So this sort of explains, I guess, why I've never heard of this case. His family didn't really want it to be in the spotlight and to be talked about, and they made it so she couldn't talk about it either. So it kind of just was forgotten about, I guess. This is wild and possibly, one of those examples of money can buy you everything. You can get away with murder. I think Claudine definitely did it on purpose. It doesn't make sense, the whole situation. There's no way he would have been teaching her how to use a gun in the bathroom while he was getting ready to go in the shower. As always, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thank you for coming by, and I'll see you guys next time.